Library and Arts Committee meeting Tuesday, April 2nd to order. Thanks everyone for being here. I'm going to go ahead and go on with the agenda. We just have three things. It shouldn't take us all that long, and then we will get into the discussion about the cherry blossom trees, and appreciate everybody being here. All right. So we just have, looks like really just three things. Okay, so the first one is a resolution, 2019-1656, Virtue in Syracuse, approves amendment number 1 to a participation agreement between the Metro government and Capitol View joint venture concerning the construction of public park improvements and the donation of a parcel of property. Do I have a motion? Motion. Second? Anybody? All right. Any discussion? Anybody from Parks would like to talk about this one? Monique, you want to? Let's see. Does anybody from Parks want to talk about that? Let's see. Hang on. Whoop, hang on. That would be that one.
I'm Tim Nate. I'm happy to answer any questions if anybody has any.
Anything? Otherwise, I'll take a motion. All in favor? Against? Thank you very much. 1656 is recommended for approval. Resolution 2019-1669, Henderson, brings awareness to the emerald ash borer epidemic's impending negative impact on Davidson County's native ash trees and urban tree canopy. Have a motion? Motion. Second? Council Lady, you want to talk about that? Okay, I can do this. There you go.
Thank you, Chair Syracuse. I don't know if someone from Parks could just quickly address how you are dealing with that impending epidemic and how you are identifying ash trees that might be near to trails or a community safety concern. And I think as we kind of come to the budget conversations, we won't discuss that here today, but we'll want to know kind of what you need in that regard. From a maintenance perspective, but I'd just be interested to know from a planning perspective what you all are doing related to emerald ash borer, please.
Ooh, hang on a sec. There you are. You're on now.
Rick Taylor, Metro Parks. We have had meetings with Naomi Rochermel with the Urban Forester and Metro Water Services and Davie Resource Group. And we are going to start having Davie Resource Group do a mapping of all of our parks. So we'll be sending some funding requests to the director, and we should be able to have that done probably by the end of the month.
I appreciate that. And so, Chair Syracuse, I'm just bringing this resolution, I hope, to raise awareness in the community about the impending epidemic and what that means for private property owners, but it also has implications for us budgetarily, so I think that's why it was before us in Budget and Finance yesterday, for our Public Works Department, for what that means for trees in the right-of-way, and then definitely for our Parks Department as well. So I appreciate that you all are engaged in proactively planning for that. So with that, I would just renew the motion to approve, please.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman. All in favor? Against? And 1669 is recommended for approval. All right, on to bills on second reading, 2019-1546, Rosenberg, Virtue, and others. And we do have a letter to approve. Approves and authorizes the Director of Public Property Administration or his designee to accept a donation of real property located at 0 Morton Mill for use as part of the park system. Motion? Second? All right, we do have a letter. Any other questions, comments on this? All in favor? Against? And 1546 is recommended for approval. Very good. All right, well, so the second part of today's committee meeting is focused, of course, on receiving an update from our Parks Director and the Nashville Convention and Visitors Corporation surrounding the events of this past weekend. I woke up on Saturday morning in disbelief, of course, hearing the news of the imminent destruction of the cherry blossom trees on First Avenue, with the sad irony, of course, being that we are experiencing the full glory of their peak bloom. This news shook the city to its core, and I think it was appropriate that it did. I think all of us here in this body recognize that It really speaks to a broader issue of ensuring we're nurturing a quality of life that includes preserving elements that speak to our history and our character. So to that end, to everyone who is gathered here today, I say on behalf of Council, thank you for your passion, thank you for your advocacy, and your continued determination to improve our tree policies. I appreciate the efforts in the words of Mayor Briley and recognition from Butch Spearden here at the Convention and Visitors Corporation, who announced on Sunday that the plan to cut down the 21 trees along First Avenue would not happen. While the updated plan to transplant just 10 trees is certainly an improvement, it's hardly ideal, and we know that this is probably the worst season of the year to transplant trees. Therefore, the focus of this meeting today, the limited scope really, is on the remainder of this meeting is to ensure our Parks Department is fully supported by the community to do everything we can to save those 10 trees and give them the care they need. So as chair of the Parks Committee, I do pledge that I will continue to work with my colleagues, all the stakeholders, to further strengthen our tree policies and better coordinate Metro's processes to be more transparent. After what happened at Fort Negley, we thought that this effort, such as Executive Order 40, would ensure that this would never happen again, yet here we are. So to everyone here and watching at home, please continue to work with us, push us, and hold us all accountable to ensure that this does indeed never happen again. So with that, I'll open it up to our wonderful Parks Director, Monique Odom, to give us an update of where we are.
Thank you so much, Chair, and thank you, council members, committee members. I want to first thank everyone for all the calls and emails expressing concern for the cherry blossom trees in Riverfront Park. Today, our staff has been working with Samara Farms to relocate 10 trees from the Quarter Flags to the empty tree pits along First Avenue. Let me say that the revised plan, give specifics of the revised plan due to the outcry by the community. No trees along First Avenue, the First Avenue North canopy will be touched. 10 trees will be impacted. Those 10 trees are located at the back of the park near the train station. We will extract those 10 trees with the root balls intact, and they will be replanted. Those 10 trees will be replaced after the NFL draft. The Nashville Convention Center Convention and Visitors Corporation and NFL will pay costs of new trees and any work associated with that. They will also pay for any necessary repairs to the park. NCVC and NFL have agreed to donate another 200 cherry blossom trees to Metro Parks, 100 from NCVC and 100 from the NFL. The trees in question are not a part of the Betty Brown tree trail. Again, I want to acknowledge and thank all those who expressed concern and support for our park system. I also want to say that while we see that the number of trees are reduced, we do hear you as a community, and please know that the Parks Department shares your concern. During the process, permitting was done through the Mayor's Office of Special Events and Film, and in hindsight, I realized that the event not coming to the Parks Board was an oversight, and I'll say that that was an oversight, that the event did not come to the Parks Board. The Metro Urban Foresters Tree Review Panel did review the plan and had no objections, largely because of the replacement plan. I'm not an arborist or a horticulturalist, so I have Randall Lance here to answer any specific questions that anyone may have, but that is my statement as of now. I'm prepared to take questions.
Thank you very much. Butch, I've turned your mic on if you want to use that, but okay.
Sure, I can use this. Thank you all, Councilman Syracuse.
Thank you.
Thank you for allowing me or inviting me to come today. As I said on Sunday, we apologize for not doing a good enough job communicating on all levels, but especially with the Metro Council. As I said on Sunday, we were wrong, and I am sorry, truly sorry. I do have to say it is a little disheartening that there's been a lot of implications that something sinister or sneaky was going on. That could not be further from the truth. Our intent was always good. Parts of our plan and our communication were not, and we admit that and take responsibility. We as an organization and Nashville as a city have never undertaken an event of this scope. It could never be executed without the collaboration and cooperation of many, many Metro agencies and the Metro Council. And I do want to say the Metro agencies all have been extraordinary, and they have been involved. This event includes 1 million logistical details and moving parts. So some were bound to fall through the cracks, and I'm sorry this was one of them, but we're learning as we go as well. We've been discussing this plan at various levels over the past 9 months. Almost every Metro department imaginable has been communicated with, engaged with, and involved, and even reaching out to TDOT and state police. We've held large group meetings with dozens of agencies. We've hosted hundreds of business organizations and residents at stakeholder meetings. We believed procedures were being followed. We've learned a good lesson as well. I want to take a moment and compliment again all Metro departments. They have been thoughtful. They've been deliberate. They and we have appropriately pushed back. I know people think the NFL just came in here and bullied everybody. We have, and the city departments have pushed back, and there have been some very tense meetings because it was not just come in and do what you want. Throughout the period, I've also done countless media interviews, and that references the appearance that something underhanded or sneaky was going on. I looked up today, on March 18th, Channel 2 aired a story where I talked about what a massive production this was, including the need to remove and replace trees. So I was on the air, 6 o'clock news with Channel 2 on March 18th. Chris Bumgard was the reporter. So I only share that to say we've been openly talking about this, not hiding behind closed doors. It was never a secret. We didn't do a good enough job communicating, though, and I can't say that enough. Reiterate what Monique said. We could have done better. We need to do better. We should have gone to the Parks Board, but we thought we were doing the right thing, and next time it will be done right. I also will reinforce we're donating 200 trees with the NFL. We plan to meet and offer whatever ongoing assistance we can do. We don't want this to be a one-time opportunity or a one-time lesson. We sell this city. I live in Davidson County. I care as much about the beauty of the city as anybody in this room. And we often talk about the green space, the value and the multitude of park space in this city. We want it to be better, and we did feel like with the cherry trees we could help in the long run, and again, we were wrong. But thank you for having me today. Again, my apologies, and you have my word and my commitment to a long-term partnership with Metro Parks and Trees. I want to particularly thank Randall for his great work and care, and I think he could speak to both our past performance with them and our future intent, so thank you.
All right, well, thank you both. Much appreciated. I'll go to colleagues in the queue here. Councilwoman Henderson.
Thank you, Chair Syracuse. I appreciate it. I think I'm glad we're discussing this in our Parks Committee because, as you alluded to, Chair Syracuse, we had a similar conversation or concern about a communication breakdown around tree removal at Fort Negley. And at that time, it was Director Lynch, so not under your directorship. But to my understanding at that time was established a kind of an ad hoc committee internal to Parks that when Parks knew through construction or otherwise utilities that there was going to be some tree loss or the removal of a significant tree, that this committee would meet as needed. So that was, internal folks, but also kind of front-facing to the community where you had some community members represented as well. So when Director Odom, you shared that or perhaps that was Mr. Spearden, the Urban Forester Review Panel did review and approve this. I think there's been some confusion because you have an ad hoc committee internal to Parks related to trees. Additionally, the executive order for trees has established a committee that above a certain number of inches of, DBH, diameter, breast height, caliper, whatever, that committee will also meet. So there's a lot of reference to committees meeting because of our concern for trees. So whether through executive order in the mayor's office, from this council internal to your department. And so, you know, I think we are feeling like, and the community is feeling like, left hand, right hand, you know, just, you know, do we have kind of an SOP, a standard operating procedure for if this, then that, and how is that community facing for transparency and accountability? So can you speak to what you referred to as the Urban Foresters Review Panel, and then the committee ad hoc internal to parks, and then what happens committee-wise with the executive order, please?
I'm going to defer to Randall Lance, but I want to say that my reference to the Metro Urban Foresters Tree Review Panel is the review panel referenced in the executive order. So that, and I'll yield to Randall to explain about the
Who serves on that?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah, well, the other one, there was never a standard for what the cutoff is. The other one is 100 caliper inches DBH. There's an average of 5-inch caliper of those trees, those 20 trees, and we went barely over the 100 caliper inches, or the 100 DBH inches, but there was one that was being removed that was damaged, and there's an exclusion in that. And then when I brought to the committee and said, well, we're going to replace them, then that negated all of it. So with replacement, we met it.
Okay, understood, but I guess what you all have to be mindful of is there's the spirit and the intent, right? And
Right.
so if somebody sees, you know, 100 kind of
Yeah.
inches and that you're, you know, you're just shy of that or you're near to that,
Yeah.
then I think there's a certain expectation that there would be kind of another level. And so I would be interested to know who serves on the tree review panel as established by the executive order for trees?
The tree review panel is essentially Metro staff. So we have the Metro Urban Forester, who's in stormwater. We have Stephen Keffett, who is the Codes Urban Forester. We have Jennifer Smith from Public Works, who is the landscape, what do you call it, Jennifer? You're the landscape something forester, essentially. What is it, Jennifer? Horticulturalist, okay. In that you have Treff Alexander, the landscape oversight person, or the landscape guru, I guess you call him, from General Services. Mayor Beth Eichert from the mayor's office on it. Rebecca Doan from Stormwater is on it, and I'm on it. And then planning, we have representative from planning, and I don't remember that name right now. So we meet once a month. We talk about issues, anything that comes before us, things that we need to address. I brought it to him. It was a casual thing because, folks, this was not a lot of trees. This is 20 trees in a very small space. It's not like we're cutting a hillside. This is probably no bigger than this room. And so these trees are double rows, 30 and 25 feet apart. Most of them have been there 10 plus years. Some of them have been there 2 years. It was an idea to come in and have an opportunity to take out these trees, help this event, and then put back similar sized trees to the rest of the planting on up the street, which we've been replacing the last 3 years. So it was to bring everything back to scale. It was also a chance to work with our partners to gain some additional trees, maybe some additional things. They were willing to help us out in a great many ways. And so it was all
Understood.
well intended.
Understood, and I appreciate that. I think, but we just, as a Parks Committee, want to make sure we understand process, right? Because if process is not clear and transparent, then you get kind of what happened here where, you know, Mr.
Right.
Spearden was alluding to that there's you know, some people think
Well,
there's something nefarious happening. So
Yeah.
I guess I think that committee then reviews as needed, so it's ad hoc. And so
Right.
when you say informal,
No,
that means.
ad hoc is the other committee. This committee is not. I mean, this is.
Okay.
It's
So the
formalized.
ad hoc committee that includes community members
Did not meet.
Did not meet and
No,
was not
because I didn't consider
consulted.
this a large enough project for
Okay,
that.
understood.
Yeah.
And then, so the committee that you highlighted that has all the metro representation of people who touch trees,
Right.
that is the committee established by the executive order. And so that committee did not necessarily meet.
Yeah, we were meeting.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
you meet monthly, but you did not
Monthly.
meet about this specifically. It was just one of many
No.
things
Yeah,
you.
right. It was just one of many things. Again,
discussed.
this was not a major project. This is a fairly small project. In my world, what I do, this was not a major project.
Understood, and I do appreciate that and what some of the trade-offs and the benefits were, but I think we can see from the community reaction that the perception in the community is that this was.
That's quite true. The
Major.
other thing in the community is that facts were not quite accurate. And if we're going to do things,
Well,
we need to be accurate.
I think in that regard, I think what that speaks to is it is challenging for us, to understand the ad hoc committee
Right.
internal to parks and, special events meets and special events happens in the mayor's
Right.
office, and then there's Mr. Spiridon's group. And so, again, clarity and transparency as to process helps everyone, right?
And I will reiterate that communication definitely could have been better in this situation. We certainly own that.
Well, I appreciate too, Monique, you alluded to, Chair, if I may, just sort of by way of second question, you alluded to, in retrospect, you feel that you should have for this event and Mr. Spiridon gone through the Parks Board review process. And so I didn't know if we might have somebody from the Parks Board here who could speak to going forward so that we can make sure all our processes are coordinated. Can somebody from the Parks Board perhaps
May I
speak
just
to
speak
that?
before that?
Yes,
Okay.
yeah.
What I have directed my staff since this event is that all events, no matter the size, that are impacting a park or held in a park need to come before the Parks Board. Generally,
that.
what would happen if there's an event, particularly at any kind of park, it's generally on the consent agenda. And,
But it's visible on the consent
yes,
agenda, right?
Certainly. It's on the consent agenda and would be voted on by the Parks Board. So, so going forward, that is how we will proceed.
Chair, I don't know if that might be appropriate just from the Parks Board to hear, because I feel, we often as a Parks Committee of the Council, and then you have the Parks Board, and there's multiple kind of approval processes and so forth. So I think I just want to make sure that kind of we're aligned. I understand that perhaps somebody spoke to that. I don't know, Ms. Brown, did you speak to that today at the Parks Board meeting? Yeah, if you want to just come to the podium, if you would maybe just speak on behalf of the Parks Board and do you concur with Ms. Odom that that's an appropriate role
Yeah,
for you all? Or
Right. I'm Susanna Scott Barnes, and I'm serve on the Parks Board, and we had our Parks Board meeting today, and we did discuss this issue and some of the processes that seemed that were not in place in this situation, specifically about getting permits from the NFL for this event. And to me, that seems like a perfect example of the reasons why people are asking for more clarity and more transparency. And if the process had gone through the Parks Board, I think some of the details of this could have been brought out in the public.
Thank you.
thank you, Chair. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, we'll go on to Council Lady Allen.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Appreciate you recognizing me, even though I'm not officially on the committee. I appreciate the offer to move the trees and to replace them when this is done. Does that also include maintenance of the trees for however long it'll take to ensure that they can survive?
I would tell you yes, whatever Randall needs or the council needs or parks, we're in. And that's an ongoing
You'll
commitment.
do whatever Randall tells you. I feel better about that. And then I think the obvious question people would just be interested in hearing is how could this stage be so inflexible that there's no way at this point even to just rearrange things a little bit?
Maybe hard to describe, but we're creating almost a temporary building. It's not just a stage. It has a media center. It has a green room for the players. It has TV production components. So it's not like anything we've ever seen. The easiest way for me to describe this is it's slightly less than 70 feet tall at its highest. It's 120 feet wide at Broadway, and it's 450 feet long as a backstage working area. So it is not what any of us have, including myself, have ever seen. And it wasn't as simple as we can just move it. The engineering, the architectural designs, the safety engineering, all of it has been going on for the better part of 9 months.
I can appreciate that. Are there pictures of it somewhere?
We did have even to your point, thank you, the Tennessean ran renderings.
Okay.
And I can share those with you all. But yeah, they were in the paper and they were on the news too. So if you kind of look, you would see the scope and kind of begin to understand.
That'd be helpful if you
Yeah.
could send those our way again, that'd be great. And then final question is, do we know where those 200 trees are going? Has that been determined at this point?
No.
Oh, TBD.
Little too early.
Okay.
For that, yeah.
In an
I mean,
open process though, right?
We've, in the last 10 years, have planted 1,000 cherry trees. That was the donation. Actually, the citizens donated those because the Metro government gave the Cherry Blossom Committee $10,000 a year to support the festival. We, in turn, bought 100 cherry trees a year, which is about $10,000. All of those trees have been planted on public lands within the city, including Riverside Drive. Some of those on Riverside Drive, which looks so spectacular now, have been planted. So they're all over the county, and we'll just add to those.
Great.
But we have them all over the county. If you were out, this has been the best cherry bloom we've had in a very, very long time. And you couldn't miss them. And one reason we didn't even consider taking the trees out at Riverfront earlier is because they were blooming and they were being so nice. So no reason to do any moving or replacement or doing anything with them until after they finished blooming.
After they're blooming.
Yeah,
I will
which
say,
is
the
about
cherry
now.
trees have given me great joy this
Yeah.
spring, so I'm with you on that one. Yes, sir.
Maybe one just additional thought, and what led us to the initial thought was the empty squares in the park on First Avenue and the different sizes. So what I would like, in addition to everything else we've offered, I'd say on an ongoing basis, we'd like to work with parks when those trees need to be replaced. We'll take that on. That shouldn't be where we look like we couldn't finish the project. It needs to be 2 rows and of similar size as possible all the time, and we will take that responsibility.
Thank you for that. I would also like to point out, I think everyone here would, if you go down and really spend a little time at Riverfront Park, will notice that it's a little sad. It's beat up. And we were supposed to have the Riverfront Park redesigned and reinstalled multiple times in the last few years. The last one was with the flood wall, and it went down with the flood wall. So the lights don't work, the trees are different sizes, the grates are broken, everything is in terrible shape because it's been neglected because we're going to do the next new thing. And this was another attempt on my part to try to refresh a little bit and maybe ease into getting Butch to help out doing some other things down there. Maybe some new light fixtures if we could work it out. So that was the intent. The intent was to try to help a very sad space begin to sort of regain a little polish because it's very tired. And this morning at 7:30, that park was full of tourists. There were no TV cameras there. There were no reporters there. There were people downtown walking their dogs, walking with their loved ones. The whole place was full. It was fun. People were having a grand time. So that's the whole deal, is try to make the park really, it's our front door, so we really ought to make it the best.
All right, thank you, Councilwoman. Councilwoman Van Rees.
Yes, in hearing about the committees that were formed based on the executive order, I'm wondering if I could ask the mayor's office to consider adding whoever the committee chair of Parks and Rec be added onto that committee. So you always have council representation on that. So I'd just like to, whoever is the committee chair at that time gets invited to those meetings. And so there's always council representation. Because the committee was formed by the mayor's office, or whether or not the Parks Department needs to ask or whatever, but I think that would be one way to always have some sort of council voice at those meetings.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Councilman Cooper.
Oh, thank you, Chair, and thank everybody for being here. I just had a couple of questions that maybe to help clarify the space. Was there anybody from the Cherry Blossom Festival consulted on this? Were they in any of the conversations?
No. They kind of trust me to do the cherry tree thing. I mean, I'm their cherry blossom guy. So.
Okay, because just with it coming up in a couple of weeks, longstanding
and I've
festival.
I've talked to them, and the thing was, people are calling us for comment. We don't know what to say, and so they said we just don't know what to do. But no, I've worked with them for all 10 years of the festival. Worked with the consul general, so yeah, no, I'm sorry,
Okay.
we didn't.
Because you can see the concern of one valuable downtown experience being traded off for another. And then another question, who specifically applied for the permit to cut down or slash, I guess that's been amended to remove trees? I mean, there had to be an actor here to ask for it.
Coming through us, the NFL's production company, C3, and the NFL, so kind of a combination. But C3 is an out-of-town production company, and the permit request is in their name.
So the C3, the out-of-town production company, asked for the permit to this committee.
Well, through special events, I would say we went in the front door of special events, trying to touch and get every street closure, police, all of the parks permits. We were doing everything at once, so I don't know if I'm answering your question.
And Councilman, I can
thank
speak
you.
a little bit to that. So NFL, from the time we announced this meeting last year, we've been meeting with C3 Production. That's the actual production company that will be producing the event for the NFL. Representatives from that group, CVC, and the Mayor's Office Film and Special Events, including representatives from Parks, Fire, OEM, Police, started meeting with that group last June, I'm guessing, Butch, early last fall maybe. And so the actual permit application was applied for by C3. We received the application in January, and much with like any event, have been working through that process with them, refining kind of the footprint, what it would look like, fire marshal needs. So
it was a private party's application that went to the mayor's office and was in effect endorsed by the mayor's office and then went to this committee that we were talking about.
I would say endorsed by the members of the special event team and the CVC. I think with any event from Cherry Blossom Festival being an example, they kind of bring their footprint. We want to close this road. Does that work? There's some give and take, I think, on all parties there. So I think an endorsement from members of the special event team, we come to consensus on that in order to issue that permit.
And the Visitors Bureau. And then if you didn't mind, just a little bit of background on the Visitors Bureau. Nashville's government is complex and places. The Visitors Bureau is public-private contract. What type of entity?
We're a private nonprofit corporation as identified by Metro in our contract.
So a contracted nonprofit entity. And your funding source is from what
Primarily
sources?
Hotel tax. We also have 1,100 members and sponsorship and other revenue.
And what percentage of your budget comes from taxes?
It's probably in the 75 to 80%.
And what total amount of money would that be? Would the tax money be?
Tax money or the total budget?
Well, either. The tax money.
Tax money's in the 26, 27 million.
Tax money of 26 or 27 million going to a nonprofit that is operating by contract, which worked with this private party to make the application to the mayor's office.
Correct.
Okay.
Metro does bid out the contract every 5 years on a national RFP basis as well.
On a national RFP basis. So it's our primarily tax-funded nonprofit that's working with the private party that made the application to the mayor's office for
Correct.
this action.
I would add in fulfilling the requirements of our contract.
And then a final point, just for clarification in the public, the application was really made in January. So generally, I think the public has made the question, if you'd had more notice, you might have moved the trees at another time and would have a greater likelihood of surviving this move rather than just a couple of weeks before the festival. But the C3 never made that application prior to January. or was this talked about
I mean,
earlier?
it's been talked about, but the application was not filed
Okay,
until.
so it was envisioned a long time ago, but the actual application wasn't made until January.
Correct, with the, maybe the caveat that every bit of this has been a moving event, logistical opportunity at best.
Okay,
It's changed, it was changing last week as well, to my point.
appreciate it, Mr. Chairman, appreciate you all being here. I know no other council
Thank you.
people are in the queue.
Thank you, Councilman. Councilmember Anthony Davis.
Thank you, Chair. Appreciate you recognizing me as well. Just a couple comments. I didn't really have any questions. First, I wanted to say thank you for the apology, Butch. I appreciated that on Sunday, and likewise today. I felt it was very heartfelt. I've known you a lot of years. I know how hard you work for this city, and I do really appreciate it. I think there was certainly some unfair stuff. I don't even know from who out there towards you, and I didn't think that was warranted. So again, I appreciate that.
Thank you.
I did want to make the general comment, just generally about this situation. I think Nashville just felt walked on. I think that it was sort of just became a microcosm for how just kind of some of our citizens have been feeling, just about other things and just, generally speaking. So I think we all know it became larger than it was. And I think it was just generally some people felt walked on, whether, justified or not. I think that's just how people felt. So it's important to note that, with the cherry trees, I'm the Riverside Drive guy, along with my companion, Tony Vietti, back there, my beautification coordinator. And so maybe more than others, I'm very familiar with cherry trees. There's a great symbolism behind them. It's a life is fleeting symbolism and how they bloom once a year. So the people that know cherry trees, there's a lot of meaning behind that. So some people maybe just were feeling walked on, and some people really have a heartfelt feeling for cherry trees themselves. And it's this time of year even that they're blooming, so sort of that perfect storm thing. And of course, the larger Cherry Blossom Festival being simply 2 weeks away. So, I think we all understand kind of how that storm came about. I empathize. I understand the logistics, these monster logistics with the NFL draft. I want to thank you all for working so hard on it. Because again, we all want the NFL draft here. We all are excited about it, generally speaking. I mean, we understand that, but it was just, the citizens were feeling, at what cost, and that's kind of where I think the uproar came from. And so in the end, where we've gotten today, I'm very satisfied again with your apology and what we are getting back, just, with the trees we're getting back and the extra trees and 200 trees. I think at this point I'm satisfied with what we're getting out of it, and I think everyone's just learned a hard lesson and just at least wanted to comment, kind of what I thought Nashvillians were feeling. And again, I appreciate y'all coming here, apologizing yet again, and keep moving forward and just help us have a great event. And thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. Councilmember Hager?
Just real quick, did y'all say y'all did get permits secured to cut the trees or not?
There's no permit for that. No permit was required. We discuss it and decide, and then we figure out a remediation thing. There's no formalized way that this group does.
Okay, then why do I get, when I get my permits every month, if somebody wants to cut a tree on commercial property or something, they have to get a permit?
That's because of the tree ordinance.
Okay.
And that's only,
So it didn't apply to y'all, or what?
That only works on commercial properties.
Okay.
So Stephan here will speak to that, the codes people, because the tree ordinance only applies to commercial properties.
Did y'all check with codes to see if you had to get a permit?
He's part of our committee.
Okay.
He's part of our committee.
All right. Well, and you can understand how the public feels. They have to get permits, but y'all don't have to get a permit. Is that correct?
Right.
Okay.
I understand.
And I can't blame them.
Yeah.
And the other thing is, and we've preached it over and over and over again, is transparency. And we've got to make it open to the public, and I preach it all the time. So let me ask one question, I'll close. Did anybody realize that they should have made this public at some time, not only to the public, but to us on the council? Was that ever discussed?
No, because this is not a big project. This was a very small parks project. Literally, in my world, this is what I do. This is what I'm paid to do. This is really not a large project. And so, no, I didn't think about it because I didn't expect the outcry because it's not abnormal. We've got a lot of parkland, a lot of stuff going on.
Sure.
We do a lot of tree work every day. We do a lot of stuff. So this was not out of the scope of my everyday work. So no, I didn't.
And I'll just add to that, and that Randall's as a professional in this world, from the community side, like we've said, that was an oversight, the community perspective. You know, in the horticultural world and the parks world is not a large project, but with this being a high visibility area, certainly there should have been better communication. Yeah.
And what really upset most of us on the council is we got up Saturday morning and we got blasted because they all thought we knew about it. And it ruined a lot of our Saturdays and Sundays because people were calling us and emailing us and Facebooking us.
Do you want to compare?
Sir?
Would you like to compare up at Saturday, Sunday?
Well, I mean, if y'all, that's because you weren't transparent. If you'd been transparent and brought it up, we wouldn't have been in this mess.
We were a little too transparent, I think so.
All right, but thank you very much for your explanation.
I got two more people in the queue, and then we're coming up on Pro Tem's announcement period, so I want to get to both, though. Councilmember Withers.
Thank you, Chair, for recognizing me because I'm not on this committee. Y'all have heard from many of my District 6 constituents in particular, who we all know watch trees very, very closely. Having gone through what we have experienced with MDHA, which similarly is not required to talk about tree removal, what we have learned is that we still need to do it anyway in terms of getting that information out. And so I'm continuing to work with MDHA to figure out sort of what makes sense. If there's a tree that's dead, it's a fall hazard, we can go ahead and remove it. If there's a larger project of removing trees for whatever reason that we need to sort of announce that. We're still finding our way through that, but we're getting there. Again, not that it's required, but it's just the right thing to do. And it avoids a lot of this. So what I want to get better clarity on is what are we going to do differently in the future? Because I think from Randall's standpoint, and Randall, I've worked with you on the Cherry Blossom Festival and planting trees on Shelby and other things, and I know how hard you work, and I always, as the Personnel Committee Chair, I always defend my employees, and I expect Metro employees to do their job, but I also let them do their jobs. And I think from your standpoint, this probably wasn't a big project, but clearly from the public standpoint, it was. So I just want to get to, like, what is the plan to do better in the future so that we don't have this kind of a situation again, whether it be cherry trees on the Riverfront Park or maybe tree removals in some of the other parkland areas?
What as I've said earlier, particularly for events, any events that are occurring that impact the park, no matter what the size, they will come to the Parks Board. We are going to add some language to our permit application about removal of trees or impact on trees just for clarity. And then I think that the Executive Order 40, which actually became effective as a result of the tree cutting at Fort Negley, is in place to help that process.
What about as well for just maintenance or things like that? I mean, I think the Fort Negley incident was not an event. It was sort of maintenance that had been deferred and finally was gotten done. But how are we going to handle that if a large number of trees need to be removed for whatever reason, either from maintenance or utility work in a park or something like that may not be event related?
We're definitely going to notice it. I mean, this weekend, I know you all got an earful and a lot, and so did we. And so, lesson learned. I will say that we will certainly notice it. I mean, we often let council members and the public know when there's a large cutting kind of a service going to be done. But then, too, I was speaking to a staff member earlier today, and there may be a project coming in the park in the near future for us to do a presentation to the Parks Board so that they are clear and aware of any kind of removal, cutting, or anything like that.
I appreciate all that. Is there, and I'm just throwing this out there, is there a way of maybe putting a sign at the site of the trees that are going to be removed, just to let people know? Because, not everyone can attend every meeting, and as much information as we have in Metro government, it overwhelms even council members. And so is there a way to do that just so folks will know this tree is going to be removed, it's going to be considered at this board or whatever hearing dates, sort of similar to what we have, like maybe with the Board of Zoning Appeals hearing, to say like this tree or this stand of trees is being considered for removal. Folks can attend a meeting if they're so interested, or watch a meeting at this date and time, just so that passersby are aware of it and are not kind of continuing to cycle this social media concern over something that could be addressed more effectively.
I think that may be a way to do it. I also think that a way to address it could be, public electronic notice, like we do on many things. For instance, the closing of Davidson Street that we did, last week or a couple weeks ago, and that was very short notice, but it was a safety issue, and we sent that out electronically, and we did get a few gripes and complaints, but it was a safety issue, and I felt adamant about making that call. So we could look at a number of ways to make people aware.
I appreciate that, and I think in particular, even with the trees, because you have a lot of folks, as Mr. Lance mentioned, you have a lot of folks using that park who may not necessarily live here, but are still concerned. And so I think as much on-site notice of some kind that we can provide near those occurrences would be beneficial. So look forward to continuing to talk about that.
Okay, point taken. Just so you'll know, when we get hit with the emerald ash borer, we have some signs out because we've been advised to do, I love the word, prophylactically removal of trees, because we have things hanging over walking trails. We have things, Gay Street, First Avenue, going up to Gay Street is lined with ash trees, which are beginning to decline already. It's going to be bad. It's going to be lots and thousands and hundreds of thousands of trees coming down. So we have some signs to just warn people, we are taking these out because we're getting ahead of the curve. So that's we've already had the signs made with that. So we're beginning to come a system for that. Just wanted you to know that I have a 4-person crew who takes out trees. So it's not like a lot of folks out there working on this.
And that is a nod, I will say, that is a nod for a request for additional staffing. We're not at the budget hearing yet, but please keep that in mind.
Council Lady Weiner, close us out.
Thank you, Chair. I appreciate it, and thanks for giving me the opportunity to speak since I'm not on the committee. First of all, Butch, thank you so much for the time that you spent on the phone, not only with me and Council Lady Hurt as Chair and Vice Chair of Convention and Tourism, but also with Councilmember O'Connell as the District Council representative for that area. I thought that your apologies were spot on. The recognition that we needed to do better was recognized immediately. And I can't thank the community enough for their outpouring of comment and angst and horror over the fact that this was seemingly sprung on us, although, to your point, it was noticed back March, was it the 18th? So anyway, and we also appreciate you being a really fabulous partner to Nashville in putting us on the map and in letting everybody know what a wonderful city we are. And to me, this is exemplary of that. I think that everybody learns from mistakes. And I think that what's important, and I think a big, big takeaway for everybody in the council, in the administration, in Metro government, and in the community is that we need to build on the mistakes that we make. We need to learn from them. And we need to move forward. And we need to move forward as a body. And we need to move forward as a city, knowing that everybody has digested this and is making a difference in how we deal with these things in the future. And so for that, I thank you for stepping up and accepting that responsibility. I think the last thing I want to say is that we in the council are looking at tweaks to how we manage our tree canopy in the future. And some of those suggestions have already been brought to the fore. And so we'll be moving in that direction as well. So thank you so much for everything that you've done. I know it's been a rough couple of days, But thank you, and we're just going to do better. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Councilmember. Go ahead, Butch.
Thank you, all of y'all, for your comments, your input. And as much as it's been an unpleasant, painful few days for me personally, certainly for our organization, y'all were right, mayor was right, and the public was right. So, sorry.
Thank you very much, the three of you, for being here. I appreciate it very much. Thanks to the community for being here. Again, your advocacy, your passion. Obviously, we've highlighted here that we have some opportunities to increase coordination and oversight and transparency of our overall tree policy, and we will continue to work towards that. This Parks meeting is adjourned. Thank you, everybody.